In this video, we're going to talk about writing equations in slope-intercept form. This is going to pull everything together that we did in Unit 3, and it's going to kind of consolidate it into a short and simple way of graphing lines. So go ahead and pause and write your stuff down, and we'll get started. Okay, so the first thing you need to remember is y equals mx plus b. We covered that in 4.1. And then you also need to remember that whenever you're given 2 points, you label them. So I went ahead and gave you the x1, y1, x2, y2. And then also last, you need to remember that the slope is your m. We define slope as rise over run, and you subtract your y values and subtract your x values, and then that's going to give you your slope. Okay, so you're going to need all 3 of those pieces of information. Okay, here we go. Example number 1. We are going to write the equation of a line that passes through a given point on a graph, and then the line has to have a slope of 1/2. So if you notice that you already have an x value and you have a y value, and then you also have your m value. So if you start with y equals mx plus b, notice that you have all pieces of information that you need except for the b. You have a y, which is right here. You have an m, which is right here. You have an x, which is right here. And so the only thing we need to find is b. So what you're going to do is you're going to plug your x value, your y value, and your m value into the formula, and you're going to solve it for b, and that'll give you your y-intercept. So here we go. This is how that's going to look. So your y value is -3 equals m is 1/2 times x, which is 2, and then you tack on your plus b at the end. Okay? So now you just go through and you do the math. So you've got -3 equals half of 2 is 1 plus b, and you subtract 1 on both sides, so you get -4 equals b. So that is your y-intercept. Okay? Now, to put it back into an equation of a line, you have y equals m, which is your slope, okay, that comes from here, times x, and then you tack on your y-intercept. Okay, that's all you have to do to write the equation of the line. Okay, so let's do another one. If you feel pretty confident, go ahead and pause and give this one a try. So when we label our point, we have x and y, and we have an m. So you have your formula, y equals mx plus b, and then you plug stuff in. So you have 4 equals -3 times 1 plus b. And then you just go through and do the math. So that's -3 plus b, and then you're going to add 3 to both sides. So your y-intercept of this particular line is 7. So then your equation is y equals -3x plus 7. Okay? All right, moving on. Now, here you're going to write the equation of the line, but instead of giving you a slope, I'm giving you 2 points. So hopefully by now, whenever I give you 2 points, the first thing that pops into your mind should be to find the slope, okay? So you do that using the slope formula, which I've given you off to the right here, okay? So remember that your step number 1 is to label your points, all right? Now, if you want to figure this one out, go ahead and pause. All right, so we have -8 minus -4 over -2 minus -3. Okay, so those minus negatives are going to switch to pluses. All right, and then what you're given, what you have left for your slope is a -4 over 1. Okay, you can shorten that to -4. Okay, so now now that you have your m, all right, now you need to go through and you need to find b. So in order to do that, remember in the first 2 examples we were given a specific point. Now you're given 2 points. Well, since both of those points are on the line, all you have to do is just pick a point. It doesn't matter which one you pick, you will end up with the same answer. So if we pick I don't know, let's just pick the first one, negative 3, negative 4, okay? Notice that when you pick your point, then you're back to what we just got done doing, right? Where you have your x, your y, and your m. So you use those three values in your slope formula to find b. So here's what that looks like. You've got y equals m times x plus b, and then negative 4 equals positive 12 plus b, and then you're going to subtract 12 from both sides, and you get negative 16 for your y-intercept. So then finally, when you go to write your equation, you just put those values back into your formula. So that equation for this particular line is y equals negative 4x minus 16. So your y-intercept is negative 16, and then your slope is negative 4. And that's it. Okay? All right, so go ahead and pause and give this one a shot. Okay, so let's go through and find the slope. So you've got 4 minus negative 2 over 3 minus 6. That simplifies to 4 plus 2 over negative 3, which is 6 over negative 3, which is negative 2 for your slope. Okay, now pick a point, doesn't matter which one. I'm going to deal with the positive one, but you can pick whichever one you want. Okay, so then I'm going to plug that into my slope formula into my slope-intercept formula to find the y-intercept. So you've got 4 equals negative 2 times 3 plus b. So 4 equals negative 6 plus b. Add 6 to both sides, and your b is 10. So then your equation is y equals negative 2x plus 10. And you're finished. Hopefully you got that. Okay, so let's do one more, all right? Write the equation of the line that passes through the points. This is the last example, so go ahead and give it a shot. Okay, so finding the slope, 4 minus negative 1 over 3 minus negative 2. That simplifies on the numerator and the denominator to pluses. Okay, remember you have to write those minuses down. So you get 15 over 5, which is 3. That's your slope. Okay, now you pick a point, doesn't matter which one. I'm going to use the positive one. So we have 14 equals 3 times 3 plus b. So 14 equals 9 plus b. Subtract 9 on both sides, and your y-intercept is 5. So then that means that your equation is y equals 3x plus 5. Okay? So notice that when your y-intercept is positive, then you put a plus here. If it's negative, then you put a minus there. Okay? So here's a picture of what my notes look like. Go through and make sure and label whatever it is that you need to label, and bring your questions to class, and we'll review and talk more about this tomorrow. Okay? See you then.